Welcome back to Paul's Tech News. As we venture forth into May, having no idea what might be coming down the 2025 pipeline of hijinks and fun next, we can at least look forward to that annual event celebrating PC hardware that usually plays host to at least a few cool announcements or new product debuts, Computex, which is earlier than usual this year in mid-May. And so this past week has seen the slow but steady buildup of early leaks and announcements as seeds of hype are planted that manufacturers hope will bloom into beautiful bouquets bursting with balance sheet boosting business benefits. Sorry, I hopped on the alliteration train there and I didn't know when to hop off. There was GPU news too, which I'm only reporting on ironically, and Grand Theft Auto 6 is delayed until May 2026, which means we already have something to look forward to next year too, as long as you weren't hoping for the PC version. But enough with the intro, on with the tech news.
Excellent!
Today's video is brought to you by the Corsair Frame 4000D computer case, available in a variety of configurations thanks to the Frame modular case system. Customize your cooling with the InfiniRail fan mounting system, use removable panels to cover cables or mount fans to guide the Frame 4000D's high airflow pathways, or go for a clutter-free build thanks to reverse connector motherboard compatibility. There's also room for dual 360mm radiators and included GPU anti-sag support and easy IQ Link integration for RGB control and system monitoring. For more on the Corsair Frame 4000D, click the sponsor link in the video description. Video cards are the #1 component making PC gaming too expensive right now, and it has been quite a while since the prospect of new GPUs launching brought forth any actual excitement or hope. Invariably, new models have arrived as worst-case combinations of overpriced, underpowered, and/or poorly positioned, as if designed in a lab to provide gamers with the smallest possible frames per dollar increase, and even the best-case scenario from amongst these ends up sold out everywhere except for marked-up third-party marketplace scalpers. So as rumors percolated about a new Radeon RX 9070 GRE in the past month, there wasn't much excitement about the possibilities, but I have good news. We were right. There was nothing to get excited about, as the 9070 GRE has now been confirmed as both a China-exclusive product, at least for now, and an unimpressive RX 9070 knockoff in terms of specs, with about 14% fewer CUDA cores at 3072, despite a price that's only about 7% less at 4199 RMB MSRP. It also only has 12 gigs of VRAM instead of 16, and while AMD claims it is 6% faster than the RX 7900 GRE, that would only excite me if the 9070 GRE did the same thing the 7900 GRE did. Become available worldwide and significantly drop in price. As I recall, that GPU going for as little as $450 back in the woolly cotton brain days of 2024. 9070 GRE pre-orders are already available in China, and the launch date seems to be May 8th. The underwhelming new Radeon GPUs that the rest of us will have access to soon are the RX 9060 XTs though, and rumors are pointing towards a May 21st announcement for those cards. And yes, it does seem that the 9060 XT will come in both 8GB and 16GB variants, just like the RTX 5060 Ti, as rumors that were going around last week that AMD had canceled the 8GB version after NVIDIA's 5060 Ti 8GB backlash have been refuted by a recent post on BenchLife. In fact, it seems that AMD is continuing to follow the NVIDIA GPU launch playbook, but do a worse job at it by having the 16GB model take retail priority over the 8GB version, which could mean the lower tier card will have a delayed launch or even not be sampled to reviewers as if they're embarrassed by its performance. And yes, all the 8GB limitations of the 5060 Ti will undoubtedly apply to the 8GB 9060 XT too, so these probably won't be the last bitter criticisms that I utter with regard to 8GB GPU positioning in 2025. Speaking of GPU manufacturers who should know better than to outfit their cards with laughably limited VRAM configurations, NVIDIA. We cried foul over the 16GB 5080 launching for $1,000 and the 12GB 5070 going for $550, but NVIDIA was like, guys, that's plenty of VRAM, and if it wasn't, we would have offered different versions of these GPUs where we added more. So NVIDIA is coming out with different versions of their GPUs where they add more. VRAM. More super cards, according to a rumor on the Chip Health forums, with the 5070 Super getting bumped up to 18 gigs and the 5080 Super increasing to 24. It's still unknown whether there will also be changes to the core configuration or clock speeds, or if NVIDIA plans to also introduce a 5070 Ti Super and double down on their lawless approach to GPU power boosting suffixes, which scandalized so many when the 4070 Ti Super first came out. The boosted VRAM configurations are made possible by the availability of 3GB GDDR7 memory modules though, which give 1 extra gig per module than the 2GB versions, allowing for more memory without needing more modules. The mobile RTX 5090 already uses those, so it's not much of a stretch to assume they'll be used for desktop discrete cards too, but it's unlikely that the Super 5070 and Super 5080 will be announced soon, or at Computex. We're probably looking at a debut later in 2025, or possibly early 2026. And at last, we've made it to Tech Briefs, so let's just speedrun the rest of the show. Global trade continues to be affected by the slapdash implementation of tariffs here in the US, with Microsoft being the most recent to announce price increases across all the Xbox Series consoles due to market conditions and the rising cost of development, which also means that games will likely be priced as high as $80 each by the time we reach the holidays. The price increases of about $70 to $120, depending on the console version, are global, so thanks everyone for helping to subsidize our recent economic policies. But you know, another way to deal with it is to just stop importing to the US entirely, which is what Hyte has done, which isn't much of a surprise if you watched last week's episode, or more specifically the Gamers Nexus tariff video. Of course, the real winners in this situation are people who really like taxes, but also the US-based factories that make PC cases and Xbox consoles, which are now protected by these tariffs. By which I mean there are no winners because those don't exist. Speaking of things that don't exist, GTA 6 in 2025 was briefly supposed to happen, but now it is not. As of Friday, Rockstar has officially set the launch date to be May 26th, 2026, a year and a few weeks from now, meaning a bunch of games can now launch this holiday season instead of delaying themselves so they won't get squashed by the GTA 6 launch. Rockstar employed weapons-grade understatement by writing, "We are very sorry that this is later than you expected, but there are a few who are unsurprised by this new information. The chronically jaded who always expect the worst? Yes, I see you. Shoutouts and solidarity." But I was actually referring to Reddit posts from a good 8+ months ago that claimed this decision was made internally quite a while back. And it looks like that info was dead on. Speaking of expecting the worst, RTX 5090 owners, secure and smug in their ivory towers, are due for another reminder that their GPUs are crucially flawed. Here's an RTX 5090 owner who used the foolproof MSI 12V 2x6 cable on their presumably, $3,000, $4,000 card, and despite the yellow part being totally plugged in, the cable went all burny and melty anyway. Ooh. Got a whole row of pins too. Pretty impressive. It was a 1300 watt ATX 3.1 power supply that was used, so they did everything right and according to current recommendations, but it's just a bad power connector that you have no choice but to use if you want the best GPU performance currently available. On the plus side though, it sounds like the 5090, which was $3,150 I guess, actually survived and is still functional. Speaking of Computex, as mentioned earlier, that event takes place May 20th to 23rd. This article's from last year, it just seemed very fitting. But I will be in attendance along with my editor Joe. We will cover some tech stuff in between eating as much food as we can and probably visiting that cool Lego store again, so stay tuned and stuff. Companies like Noctua are already teasing their displays, so maybe we'll see something that actually launches from them in the next 5 to 10 years. For real though, I really miss Taipei, and I'm very much looking forward to going back. Finally, I'm happy to report that despite my telling people not to buy graphics cards, some people still did, and the Steam hardware survey now displays incontrovertible evidence that RTX 50 series GPUs are in use in the wild, and people are gaming on them. The RTX 5080 and RTX 5070 are both sitting at 0.38% each, and the RTX 5070 Ti is just behind at 0.28%. No RX 9070 or 9070 XT entries are listed individually as of yet, even though I sent a survey in from my HTPC with the power color RX 9070 XT Spectral White, and suspiciously there are also no RTX 5090s listed, which proves that all of them are just being used for AI, just as I suspected all along. But I also suspect that this is the end of the show, so there you have it guys, tech news for the week, and if you liked it, click that like button or leave me a comment. down below. While you're down there, all of the articles that I talked about today are linked in the video's description if you're interested, and you could also check out my store at paulshardware.net where you can buy yourself some high quality merchandise like t-shirts and hoodies and beer sets and more. Subscribing to my channel is always a good call too. Thanks again everyone, and we'll see you next week.